Okay, we're back. If you don't know what's going on, Dr. Dan McClellan and I have gone back and forth on homosexuality in the Bible and the word arse and a coin tie. If you want to get up to speed, I recommend you watch this 15-minute video. And recently, Dr. Dan did a 5-part rebuttal series on that video, and I will encourage you to watch it. Now, I will be putting those clips together in their entirety. That will take some time, and I will respond to it. But he released part 5 today, and I just couldn't help but come in the studio and watch it and respond to it right now. So let's take a look.
Oh, I absolutely continue to address it with professionals. I continue to research and to present and to publish. I just got back last month from a conference at Brown University that I helped organize, where I presented my own research to other professionals on the concept of monotheism in the Bible. And those papers will be peer-reviewed and will be published in a professional academic venue, and I will help edit those papers. The thing is, social media is not a professional academic venue. This is not where the work of the academy goes on. This is where I am sharing what is going on in the academy. This is not where the work itself goes on. If you want to see actual professional engagement, come to the annual meeting of the Society of Biblical Literature the weekend before Thanksgiving this year. It's being held in San Diego. I am the co-chair of a program unit with the Society of Biblical Literature, and I will be presenting research this year at that annual meeting. This is not where I do any of my scholarship. This is where I engage the public on what's actually going on in scholarship.
So you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I know where you do your scholarship. I'm saying, why don't you review the reels and the videos of, say, Dr. N.T. Wright or Dr. Michael Brown? That's what I'm saying. You're more than willing to debate me, go to and fro. Why don't you do it with them? I'll actually tag Dr. Michael Brown in this video because he recently just did a video on identifying as a gay Christian and why that's unbiblical. Why don't you critique it? Why don't you go back and forth with him? He's a seasoned apologist and a scholar, absolutely fluent in Hebrew. It might be interesting. But you won't do that. You'll just debate me. You won't debate him because you think it's some type of performative identity. Really, I don't think you want people to see firsthand your hypocrisy when applying your hermeneutics. That's why.
This has got to be the most nonsensical and the most ludicrous thing you've said in this entire video, because every last one of my videos undermines Mormonism. The overlaps with Mormon ideologies are incidental and only exist on the surface, because once you dig at all into my published peer-reviewed positions on things like God's wife and the corporeality of God and Jesus not being God and things like that, you will see that my positions flatly undermine Mormonism. For instance, when it comes to Jesus being God, I have repeatedly, consistently, for years argued and even published in peer-reviewed venues the argument that the New Testament does not present Jesus as Adonai, as Jehovah. It is official Mormon doctrine that Jesus is presented in the New Testament as Jehovah. So my scholarly position flatly contradicts the position of Mormonism. This is so laughably ignorant and misguided. You're just trying to come up with rhetorical deflections so that you don't have to engage the data. And this is probably the weakest one you have.
That was clever what you did in true Dr. Dan fashion. You conflated the Jesus of the Bible is somehow the same as the Jesus of the Book of Mormon, and somehow arguing against Jesus' claims to deity is commensurate with your unbiased, data-driven stance against religious dogmas. But you're fully aware that Mormonism teaches that Jesus is a created being of the Father, he is the offspring of the Father, and that he is the spiritual brothers with Satan. So that is a totally different Jesus to the one that presented by the Bible. It's the second person of the Trinity, the creator of the universe. And somehow arguing against the deity of Jesus advocates for a more of a creature-based Mormon Jesus. That's what you're doing. You're kind of making my point. And you say that you're presenting published research on monotheism. I've heard in other videos that you're saying that the Jewish people weren't monotheistic. And that's interesting too, because if you can somehow push forward the fact that Jews weren't monotheistic, then you're pushing towards a polytheistic stance, which is it just a coincidence that would support the polytheistic worldview of Mormonism? Are you doing this subconsciously, or you're not getting the point that I'm making? Again, I'll tag Dr. Michael Brown in this video, and you can discuss monotheism with him. Debate it online. It'll be interesting.
So this is another piece of sophomoric rhetorical deflection. because to argue that if we understand gender to be fluid because it's a social construct, therefore race must be fluid because it's a social construct, that presupposes that all social constructs must have the same architecture, the same behavior, the same conceptual foundations. And that's just wildly inaccurate. Social constructs develop in their own ways, and they have to be interrogated on their own terms. And the features that have accreted around the cognitive exemplar of the notion of gender are very, very different, are a lot more fluid and a lot less bounded than the features that have accreted around the cognitive exemplar of the social construct of race. One is a lot more binary than the other, and one is a lot more fluid than the other. And if you'd like more information on how all of this works, I would highly recommend looking into cognitive linguistics. There are a bunch of wonderful intros out there, but I would recommend focusing on things like prototype theory and frame semantics. And Taylor's book, Linguistic Categorization, would be a wonderful place to start.
You're equivocating here. You're misrepresenting again what I'm saying. I didn't presuppose gender and race as the same societal constructs. I asked you, if gender can be a societal construct, why can't race be? Would you accept me as a black person? That's what I asked. You didn't have the decency to answer the question I put forward to you. And even if I did presuppose that gender and race were the same societal constructs, your answer was that one's more binary, one's more fluid. Here, read some books. You didn't have the decency to answer the question. And you say that I debate not in good faith? At least have the decency to answer the things that I put forward to you. You didn't even answer the thing about age. You just totally disregarded that. You know, you say that I advocate for harmful ideology in terms of my definition of arse and a coin tie. Yet what about your advocacy for trans ideology, especially during Pride Month, where you promote it incessantly? What about the kids that are self-mutilating and self-sterilizing? What about that? This will be the greatest medical travesty on this generation when they look back at history, and you played a huge part in it. You were a strong advocate for it. Why don't you debate Dr. Jordan Peterson on trans ideology? That's right. It's just some formative identity. No, you just don't want to be held to account. You don't want your standard to come back at you. People will have a first-hand idea of how you operate in real time, not while you're sitting behind a computer doing a 5-part series rebuttal on me.
I engage professionals in professional conferences and in peer-reviewed academic publications. That's where professional engagement goes on. Debates are performative identity politics. I don't really have an interest in them, and as you have demonstrated throughout this entire video, you are incapable of engaging in good faith, and you do not remotely know the material well enough.
It's interesting that I don't know the material well enough, yet you're taking the time, a lot of time, to do a 5-part series rebuttal on me. You won't want to debate scholars. The reason why you don't want to debate scholars and you think it's some type of performative identity is because, honestly, you're scared. Your fringe views are essentially that, fringe, and you're trying to present them as the academic consensus. But if you actually go against a seasoned scholar and apologist and you sit down and you negotiate the text as you say and you do it in actually good faith, you'll be exposed for your hypocrisy. So I still put forward to you, why don't you debate me or a seasoned scholar on your views? Let the public see firsthand how you operate, instead of just timing your responses, making your edits, chucking in your research, responding to things that people didn't actually say. Because then in a debate, you can actually do that. Say, hey, Natik, I didn't actually make that point. Why don't you address the point that I made? So you don't want to do that because it will be embarrassing. But I'll tell you this. I'll take you up on your offer. I might come to San Diego before Thanksgiving. But how about this? You don't want to debate me? Fine. How about we sit down and have a chat? How about we just meet? Would you do that? I really don't understand how you came to these decisions and came to this worldview. I'd be interested to hear that story. So how about that? How about I fly over there, we meet, and we'll do lunch? Let me know.